See, what has happened is that we have been turned, sisters, into kind of like Frankenstein. I think everybody remembers the Frankenstein monster. He had somebody's arms, somebody's legs. He even had somebody else's brain inside of his skull. Oh, he was functional, but he was not himself. And so, yes, we are functional. We have been taught that having a good job means that we are a total success. We have been taught that the solution to all the problems of the black people in America is to get a job with the white people. That's just not the truth. And that's certainly not saying that it is not important for us to have money for food, clothing, and shelter. And it's not saying that we as black women are not strong. I'm here today to represent some of that monumental strength we say we have. This does not mean that we are not strong. We don't have to put our man down in order to be strong. I'm just saying that we have used our strength in the wrong direction. We've been using it against our man instead of for him. If we use the kind of strength and influence that we have in this society to support the black man, won't anybody be able to come against him? But every man is judged by his woman, and if his woman say he ain't nothing, then the whole world believes he ain't nothing. The actual fact is every man himself judge his own self by his woman. He can be out in the world being great, and the whole world can be kneeling to him, and if he come home and she say you ain't nothing, you ain't been nothing, then that's who he believes. And yes, we have insulted our man in front of our children. It wasn't intentional. We just been frustrated. We couldn't make you brothers do what we want you to do. We didn't have anybody else to tell sometimes, so we would say it over the children. He ain't no good. He make me sick. He's stupid. If he loved you, he would be here with you. When every man in here knows that his relationship with his children is predicated on his relationship with their mother, and if they are not getting along with us, they are not going to spend any time with the children. That's just how that is.
We are definitely moving our way back because people are not, there's nothing that can stop the progress. There's nothing that they can do. And I understand that they recognize that. So that's why the efforts are so strong against us with the Cardi B's and the big butts that are fake and all of they keep people consumed, and some of them are consumed, but then there's a whole nother group who are like, this is ridiculous. This has gotten completely, I think they have shot themselves in the foot because they have gone to such levels that it even rocks up certain people who were like not even thinking about it, and they just went too far for some of the people, you know what I'm saying, for a lot of people, where they said, you know what, I got to get back to who I really am. And a lot of people are on that path. A lot of black people. We just don't know.
I'm going to say something, and I say this respectfully because it needs to be said, and it's not exclusive to black women, but we're on the subject of black women. Black women are in the lowest, and this is, of course, this is a general statement. Definitely doesn't apply to every black woman, not by far.
Right.
Generally speaking, when we look out into the world today and we look at our young queens coming up in this society, black women are in the lowest state that I've ever seen them in my lifetime. When I was a child, I lived in a home. I had an aunt who was a prostitute, and I had to go live with her when I was a child. And I used to watch her get dressed so she could hit the strip every night. At the time, I didn't even know what a prostitute was. But I have the memories of watching her get dressed every night because it was such an awesome experience as a child, through the eyes of a child, watching her in her routine every night. Now I understand that she was tricking. But at that time, I was just like, wow, look at her, yo, she got the pantyhose, and look at her with the wig and the makeup. Damn, she don't. Now, fast forward till today, what once applied to the uniform that once applied to a prostitute is now the common attire for the women that I'm observing today. So my mind is blown because I'm like, wait a minute. But that's the general norm, which goes into why I say this is the lowest state that I've ever seen black women in. Because one time, black women understood that if I put on nails or a hair weave or makeup, it's for an event, a special occasion. It's not something that I necessarily have to feel like defines my beauty. If you want to really understand the value of the Black woman, even in her lowest state, check out OnlyFans. You know this
You
thing
said
called OnlyFans?
OnlyFans?
OnlyFans. It's a new trend called OnlyFans where they have
Is that what they do, like this sexual stuff, or they like pimp people, get money off of them? Like Lisa Ray, that's that Lisa Ray stuff, right?
yeah, it's a big thing now with Black women. It's definitely sexual, but it's not just sexual. There are Black women who work out and go to the gym, and because they know they can get 1 trillion followers on Instagram, they just take it to OnlyFans because OnlyFans allows them to get paid. They can build memberships based.
It's a page or something like it's like Instagram or something.
Yeah, but the difference is you can have memberships and people can pay you a certain amount just to look at you.
Just to watch what you. That's
It's an
creepy.
attention that you need.
This wasn't blown up by white women or any
Gotcha.
women. This was blown up by Black women, and there are literally Black women I'm watching through their Instagram because I don't subscribe to OnlyFans, but they're traveling the country, buying houses, getting money, regular girls, just because people want to look at them.
But you can't take that like kind of like you said in a total sense, because even if the melanated women are pushing it, somebody else created it, put it in front of them, advertised it to them, and they allow themselves to accept this and
But
use
you
it
know
in a
why?
way.
Because they have had shows like Real
Jerry
Housewives
Springer, all of
that
that
make
nonsense.
people recognize that you don't have to have no real skills to make money. You can be either ratchet or, like you said, just traveling around and let somebody. They are really. That's the world we live in. You don't have to provide any real value in terms of your value to society.
But
It's
it's
really
by
about
design,
you.
though.
But let me tell you the other side of that. That's a miserable life to live because you have to be on 100% of the time.
You
The
can't
more
shake it.
money you get, the more you can't function without making sure you look right, making sure. I'm telling you, y'all, I was in Trader Joe's, and I saw one of the Real Housewives. She had so much makeup on, and I just felt sorry for her. I felt sorry for her because I felt like, I'm sure she don't want to look like this to go to the grocery store. But the flip side is people are so invasive in your life, and because you've opened yourself up to that, you feel like you can't go somewhere without having a full face of makeup, because otherwise they're going to talk about you and say. So that's a horrible life to live, and you have to be on 100% of the time. You can't be who you want to be, and then you don't even know who you really are because you're putting on something for the camera to the point where you don't know who am I really? Now, who
Like being
you
lost
do it
in
for so long, you lose who you really are because you're always filtered through the camera in somebody else's view, because somebody, they give you comments and tell you, oh, you look good today with that. So you got to be like, oh, okay, let me make sure I put my hair like that, or let me make sure I wear this lipstick. That's a horrible thing. So
Somebody
now,
else dictates what's cool that you should be doing to get these OnlyFans followers to.
but and that's when you find out that you're really so miserable. You're lonely, you're miserable, because those people on the other side don't care.
And
But it's a lot of stuff. People got crazy fetishes. I've seen stuff where people can sit here and do just like this, and somebody will watch you.
Mhm.
The ASMR, have y'all seen that? Them crazy videos where somebody just going.
But look, if your camera is on, somebody else is still watching you. Somebody, like, they sell these IP addresses. So, and I think in some cases, some people might know they're doing this and at least try to get paid off of it. But I wanted to hit you with this. This is Black people, right?
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna read it. It say Black people. Black people is a racialized classification of people, usually a political or skin color, based on categories for specific populations with mid to brown, dark complexion. But they call you Black because they put you in a category, and everybody who's mid to brown is Black because black is negative. Now, when I look up brown, it's going to be a more positive sense because brown people fall in the Indian, Pakistani lane, and they mid to brown still. You dig what I'm saying? But another form of separation.
So Al, what was your point about the OnlyFans?
Thank you, Bev. The point that I was making was that for the black woman in her lowest state, she is still the greatest commodity that I see in this country right now. I know nothing else on the internet do I see people getting rich in such a short period of time other than vagina. I say that respectfully, of course. A woman's body is the hottest commodity right now on the internet. A black woman's body is a commodity on the internet. And again, I have to emphasize the fact that not all of these women are doing things that are sexual.
No, right. You're saying just traveling, going to the gym.
Going to the gym. But the whole idea of being able to tune in to see a black woman doing things that are exclusive and then also sharing certain levels of flesh in certain aspects of her body via her breast and her butt or whatever have you. Even in her lowest state, her numbers are still through the roof. So just imagine what would happen if that trajectory was reversed. We would see a reoccurrence of a period of time where women ruled over kingdoms, like the brother brought up about Khalifa.
Khalifa, right.
That wasn't just California. We had women that ruled nations.
It went into Mexico also. Khalifa went into Mexico.
And I'll say this because we got 1 minute left. Women go on places like OnlyFans because as a black community, we are under duress on the whole, like I said earlier. So this is a choice that they're making to hopefully better their conditions. Because if nothing at all, we are all under economic duress.
It's the same form of being pimped in a different light.
Even those of us that have a couple dollars in the bank, we still under economic duress because we're trying to keep that couple dollars in the bank too. None of us are 100% comfortable. We all dealing with the threat of it being taken away from us because it's not ours to begin with. They print it, they put their faces on it.